Welcome back to Death Before Booze. I'm Sam.
I'm Jen.
And that's Nova hanging out there. Hi, Jen.
Jesus Christ.
Hi, Nova.
Hi, Sam.
Yeah, if you hear random swishing on Jen's side, her kitty daughter is hanging out with us.
Just
Is
fucking
very much involved today.
Yeah, I know.
If you're on
I
YouTube,
just got home.
if you're on YouTube, you're going, "Oh my god, that's the cutest thing ever! Oh, kitty!" Like
Which
I
is
am
fine,
right now.
But...
So this is Jen's birthday episode, 'cause it's your birthday. Birthday episode for your birthday. Oh yeah. What do you have planned for your birthday?
Well, it's Labor Day weekend,
Whoop,
so
whoop.
it's nice to have an extra day off. So probably just gonna watch some horror movies, eat some pizza. That's my favorite thing. So we'll do that.
Have you
And then that's
decorated
pretty
for
much it.
Halloween yet? I feel like that's gonna be like your
Yeah.
birthday decor.
I did already.
I asked Ken the other day, I was like, "Can I decorate for Halloween?" And he went, "Of course." I was like, "Yes." And now I just have to find time to actually decorate for Halloween.
I know. That's the hardest part, is taking all like the buckets down, and I'm like and
Yeah.
I'm like, do I really need this much stuff out? Like,
Yes.
where did I get this stuff? How did this accumulate in my house?
Home
Don't drink the
Goods,
soda.
Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Target. I can keep
Oh my God.
going.
And TJ Maxx had some really cool stuff this year too. So far. Although apparently when I was talking to the Home Goods person, they said they get new stuff as the season progresses, so they're like, you have to keep coming back. And I was like, listen, you do not have to tell me.
I would say they're
I
not
need to keep coming
stupid.
back.
That's not,
You do not
I
have
mean,
to tell me.
girl, I got you. I mean, Spirit Halloween, favorite. Love everything about
Right.
it. I will be there. I saw this thing, like a meme or like a video or whatever about like the new decor that came out at Spirit Halloween, and this thing like jumps. It's like I think it's like a creepy clown or something. And like it looks normal, and somehow it jumps off the ground and like screams, and this little kid like totally freaked out, fell over crying, ran, and he was like 7 or 8. Like he wasn't like a 2-year-old. It was like a, actual human child. Anyway, since this is your birthday episode, I did hide what my topic was so you would not know.
She did.
And I'm going to tell you a story.
I'm excited for the story.
I'm going to be honest, I've been hanging out a lot in Ireland. So if you go on Patreon, you'll hear me talk about Loftus Hall, which is this crazy
one was
haunted
crazy.
manor house in Ireland on the Hook Peninsula. But
That one's crazy.
now I'm going to tell you about the Killakee cat of Killakee.
Oh, I'm excited.
Okay. So obviously, we've talked about the Hellfire Club with the Edinburgh tunnels. I always call them the tunnels. I know that's not right, but about whatever in Edinburgh.
Yeah, it's fine.
Vaults. That's the word.
Yeah, it's tunnels and vaults are kind of, it's the same.
They are not, but okay. Thank you for making me feel better. I love you so much. I mean, we talked about the Hellfire Club there. We talked about it at Loftus Hall. At some point, I'm going to cover Montpelier. So we have lots of things to do. Now, this is not the Hellfire Club from Stranger Things. I wish it was, because, who wouldn't want to just play World of Warcraft not World of Warcraft. What did they play? Oh, Dungeons and Dragons. That's what they play. They play Dungeons and Dragons.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, so the Hellfire Club's main meeting house is at Montpelier Hill, and it's now in absolute ruins. And even when they were there, it was ruined. So that'll tell you something, because they were back in, 16, 17, 1800s. So their main spot on Montpelier Hill burnt down. And the only reason I bring this up is because the part of Montpelier Hill was actually part of the Killakee Manor, which is where we're going. So they feel that a lot of the energy comes from what the Hellfire Club did down the hill through the woods to the Killakee Manor and the steward's house, which is what we're talking about today. And I'm going to go through it again. I'm just giving you a heads up, like,
Yeah.
There's a lot of places in a very small circle that we're going to like talk about. So just kind of getting your brain to it. So this place is, like I just said, paranormally connected to the Hellfire Club in some way, shape, or form. The whole area that I was just talking about was originally owned by the Connolly family, and that's headed by William Connolly, who was the Speaker of the Irish House of Commons. Like, we're talking 1700s here. This area included the hunting lodge that later became the notorious Hellfire Club that I was telling you burned down on top of Montpelier Hill. Mm-hmm. The Connolly family sold part of the estate to the White family, and this is the densely wooded area known as Killakee. So this is at the bottom of the hill.
Okay.
The White family then built a manor house with exotically landscaped gardens, and they also built a steward's house and stables. So everything was done being built by 1765. The steward's house became a temporary home for the members of the Hellfire Club when Montpelier Hill burned down. So they kind of just snuck in and took over.
Yeah.
After all that was done, the entire estate was passed to Lord Massey of Limerick. And I really should have probably looked up a limerick for this because, you know, they're fun. Anyway. So that's in the 19th century. And both he and his heirs lived way beyond their means. Think Great Gatsby, but without the bootleg money. They threw huge parties, wasted all the money away until he finally had to auction off the manor house and move him and his family into the steward's house. Over time, the steward's house then became the Killakee house. In 1922, the remote property and Lord Massey were at the center of a murder mystery. So now there's like a murder on the property. So first we had the Hellfire Club doing all their fun bullshit, and now this guy's like murdering people.
Now you got a moida.
A moida! There's been a murder in Savannah. So according to the official inquest, Massey claimed a man known as Harmon had forced his way in and demanded money. Massey claimed he reached for his revolver, shot the intruder in self-defense. But then he didn't report the break-in for like 2 days. And then he just left the body in his study for those 2 days. It was just, I'm going to put this here and just not tell anybody and see what happens. Because that made sense.
It just slipped his mind. He's like, I've got things to do. Like, I can't.
I mean, I have to tend to all these exotic gardens that I can no longer afford. So I don't have time for a dead body.
I don't have time for this.
Anyway. Finally, his debt caught up to him. He was evicted from the steward's house and had to live out his final days in the woods. In the woods. So he just kind of became a hermit troll that lived in the woods. His daughter... Oh, no, yeah, his daughter took over Maurice Fox. I'm sorry. The steward's house was taken over by the daughter of Maurice Fox. I don't know who Maurice Fox was. I really should have reread these before I started recording. Anyway. So... Up until this point, there's very little evidence of hauntings per se until the O'Briens take over the property and begin renovations in the 1960s. So they were doing a complete remodel, like ripping down everything down to the studs. This house is from, there've been some renovations, but it's from the 1700s. So it needed some work. It needed some lovings. So Mrs. O'Brien spent a few nights in her new home, again, now known as Killakee House, and she's absolutely terrified. Items around the house were smashed and scattered, even though no one was in the home with her, except for her and her 2 dogs. The dogs would howl nonstop with their hackles raised, and they did this, weird howling as if they were scared, not like...
Yeah.
There's an intruder alert. It's more like, oh, something's popping off, Mom. Like, this is not right.
There's ghosts and you have to get the hell out. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We need to go. We need to evacuate. Let's 2319 and get out of here. The workmen who were there were also terrified, many refusing to stay on site. So, they'd come in for work and be like, fuck this, I'm done, and leave. The temperature in the house would change on a dime to the point where breath was visible even on the warmest of days. I don't like that. there was a solid wooden bolted door that they would find wide open. And we're talking a door that would not remain. Like, they put an 8-inch bolt in this door to keep it shut. And the bolt was like, ha ha ha, no, I'm going to open back up. It's fine. No big deal. Jesus. And then there would be random screams heard throughout all parts of the property. So not just the house, we're talking the woods, the old manor house, Montpelier Hill, like a lot going on over here. One tradesman froze as he saw a bolted door open. So this is that door, like the door with the 8-inch bolt. The 8-inch bolt comes out, the door opens, and he sees a huge black cat, quote, as big as an Alsatian. And I Googled that, and it's like a German Shepherd dog. So, like, picture a cat as big as a German Shepherd.
Oh.
Like, that's not a small cat. Like, not, and I'm not even, like, that's bigger than a Maine Coon. Like, and Maine Coons are big. Like, they're fucking huge.
No, Maine Coons are big, but this is a wild baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this cat walked in, and as it walked through the door, slowly disappeared in front of him.
Jesus Christ.
Most of the people on site started to laugh at him and was like, dude, were you drinking at lunch? Like, did you have a liquid lunch, bud? Are you good? But he was vindicated when coworkers began to see this giant feline. Locals felt it was not the spirit of a cat, but rather a terrifying elemental. Those who have encountered the cat report that it is capable of speech and that his face has disturbingly humanoid features. Hi, Nova.
Jesus God almighty, she came out of nowhere.
Nowhere.
Shit, that scared the shit out of me because you're like, and then his face is like, and
here's a cat.
Oh my, I have a problem with that.
Yeah, fucking weird, right? So then, okay, let's pause on the cat for like a second. So I feel bad for the workers who were refurbishing the steward's house because they didn't know that the Hellfire Club had hung out there. And in case you don't know what the Hellfire Club was, obviously they were a club in Europe, mostly the UK, Scotland, in that area. They were mostly prominent gentlemen who would get together, get drunk, sacrifice women in the middle of the night, try and find virgins, have orgies. Once or twice they brought a baboon in to dress up like the devil to scare each other. Like, they're fucking weird. Like,
it's just typical Saturday night.
I mean, isn't that what you do on Friday? Like, I mean, Halloween's coming, the full moon. But, so when they were in the steward's house, they were performing human sacrifices as well as animal sacrifices. So get ready. This is going to be a bit of a doozy. I apologize now. Be prepared. So one documented thing is that the members of the Hellfire Club doused a black cat in whiskey. I'm so sorry. Set it on fire and then let it go around the room as it burned alive, as it ran around the room.
Why is that entertaining? I'll set somebody on. I'll put whiskey on that fucking asshole and set him on fire and be like, "How do you like it? Do you like this? How is it interesting?"
Well, my thing is that if you're making most of these were considered sacrifices to the devil. They were doing this for a purpose. How is what purpose does that serve? How is that really sacrificing? It I feel like there should be more pumped
that's
to
just
it.
For shit.
That's just terrible. It's just animal cruelty for animal cruelty's sake. I don't.
Yeah, and that's.
Yeah. So later, they say a demon cat was unleashed on the land who haunted the Hellfire members. Hunted. That's much better. Who sacrificed him and has remained at the steward's house since. So there's that one.
I mean, that's fair.
I get it. That's probably a good portion of why we have the Killakee cat. But the other side of this is there was a person, a human, who was a little person.
Okay.
And he was known in town, very popular. awesome guy. And then one day he just disappeared.
Oh, for fuck's sake. God.
The rumor was that he was sacrificed by the Hellfire Club to Satan.
Yeah.
And they never could find the body. Well, 250 years later, during this specific renovation that we're talking about, the remains of a little person were found behind a hidden wall in the little house where the well for the steward's house is kept. So now I maybe am pulling a little bit of my buddy Zach Bagans, but I kind of feel this proves 110% because, I said before it's alleged that they took over the steward's house once Montpelier Hill burned down. I kind of think that this is 110% evidence that not only was the Hellfire Club there, but that they did perform horrible, terrible, ridiculously awful sacrifices.
I mean, you don't find somebody in the wall years later if you didn't kill somebody and shove them in the wall.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. You and I are on the same page. I hope everybody else is caught up because my ADD is everywhere today. So now, after years and years of this, so we're back to the renovation. There was an artist who came in during the renovation to help with like the house painting and the decorating and the everything else that they were doing at the point in renovation that they were at. His name's Tom McGassie. And he saw the Killakee cat. Same thing. The big wooden door opened by itself with the big bolt. The bolt came out, the door opens, and in the hallway beyond the door, he said he sees a black cat that had burning red eyes, and the red eyes were transfixed on him. And even after the cat vanished, McGassie said he felt the presence still in the room. Later, he claims what he saw looked like a deformed man also in the hallway, no more than 3 feet tall, that then transformed into the black cat that had the glowing red eyes and then again faded into nothing. So after the 2 encounters with the demonic cat, McGassie painted a picture of it. And this painting is still in the steward's house. So it's a pretty fucked up picture. It is on the blog. Oh, Nova didn't like that.
It's a pretty fucked up picture.
Yeah, it's a weird picture. Like, I mean, it's a picture of a cat. Like, if you just look at it, it's like, oh, it's a picture of a cat. But like, if you look at it long enough, like, you kind of do.
It's fucked up.
Like, it has like a weird feel to it. It could be because, I did these notes and just kept staring at this picture that now I just have it in me it's weird.
I mean, yeah,
but
that's fair.
Whatever.
I mean, that's fair.
Okay, so currently, and I'm just going to put this out here, currently the steward's house is a private residence. So some human lives there. This is their house. Please don't go there. Don't try and knock on the door and be like, hey, can I see the Killakee cat? Can I do this? Can I, like, fuck around on your property? Like, be nice. Be respectful. Okay, so now I'm going to start getting into all the cool, ghosty, dumb shit. Because I haven't done that enough yet. So in the 1970s, a series of seances and a Ouija board sessions happened because people were stupid and trying to help the spirits cross over.
No.
However, and I'm sure no one will be shocked, this just accelerated the disturbances and made everything worse. So from then on, lights turn on and off independently. Furniture has been broken into pieces overnight. Bells are randomly heard ringing. The dwarf boy is seen walking through with a blood-stained man. The ghostly images of black-eyed nuns who supposedly participated in black masses with the Hellfire Clubs also walk around the property.
Can nuns do that? Is that like I mean, aren't they supposed to be close to Jesus?
Yeah, so think about how how much worse it is for them when they start working in black masses. Yeah, it's not fun. No. So the demonic black Killakee cat has been seen more regularly, specifically in that same hallway. And it would now stay and hiss and snarl at people. And other paranormal activity and poltergeist activity has begun, such as weird noises, footsteps, and disembodied voices. And there are times where the Killakee cat is seen walking down the hallway, but you hear the footsteps of a man.
Oh, because it's like they transformed.
Yeah. So this is why I think this is why people have named it an elemental, but it could be, you know, demonic and just like there's a lot of different things that this could be, but because of all the different things, they're just like, it's all terrible. Let's call it an elemental. And I'm going to say this again. This is a private residence. Do not go there. Don't knock on the door. I mean, if you're in the U.S., obviously you're not doing that today. But if you are in Ireland, because we do have some people who listen in the U.K., do not go there without permission. I mean, now that it's a private residence, they have stopped letting people investigate the property, and I don't blame them.
I don't blame them. It's their house.
But that also kind of stops us from knowing if the haunting persists or if it's gotten worse or if it's gotten better. So, our best friend, my favorite paranormal investigator and his crew, Zach Bagel Bites, has entered the chat. So during his Halloween episode, the same one where Loftus Hall was covered. So if you want to go to Patreon and hear all about Loftus Hall and their Halloween episode, believe me, it's a doozy. Anyway, they also investigate the Killakee house, specifically the painting of the cat. So after they speak to the owner at this time, because this was back in like 2011, 2012, something like that, the owner at that time told them all the fun stuff that I told you before, but also some stories of someone who had stayed in the house. So at some point between 1970 and the airing of the episode, the house was an inn and restaurant.
Oh.
So one guest turned up and heard the story of the Killakee cat, saw the painting, and was like, fuck this cat, and turned it upside down. Well, the cat, the entity, the elemental, the demonic, whatever the fuck it is, did not like it. They felt disrespected. They were like, watch me. Hold my fucking beer.
Is don't touch anything.
Just leave it alone. Put your hands in your fucking pockets. It's not that serious.
It doesn't matter that you don't like it and you don't agree with it. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not yours. Don't touch it.
No.
Okay. So apparently once this happened, there was a whirlwind of paranormal activity, and the very business took a nosedive because of it. So they're blaming this one guest for flipping over this painting for the reason that it is no longer an inn and restaurant.
Fuck that bitch.
So the guest who fucked with the painting didn't leave unscathed either. He didn't get much sleep that night. He was absolutely terrorized by furniture moving throughout the room, loud, random spectral bangs, and the sounds of screaming and hissing from a cat throughout the room that kept him up all night.
Yeah.
You fucked up.
You fuck around and you found out.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he even woke up with scratches. Like a cat had gotten to him. Or a demon. I mean, either way.
Don't touch things. Don't touch things.
Go get the t-shirt. Keep your hands in your pockets. I said it in episode 3 and I stick to it. Anyway, so the next morning, this dude turns the painting right side up again and apologizes.
Yeah, you better.
Yeah, right? Fuck you. The activity did continue, but it died down over time.
Okay.
So the team was also warned to not make full eye contact with the painting. So, don't look the cat in the eyes. Some people have been entranced and have seen disturbing things. Some people have had panic attacks, and some people have just full-on passed out while looking at this painting. So just to tell you all what our buddies do next. During their investigation...
Something stupid, probably.
During the investigation, Jay goes into the house. He sets up the X cameras. He sets up a special boom microphone and then turns the painting upside down. And he goes back to his van to see what happens. I write in full caps. I even made this bold. That tells you something. Fucking idiot. Jay Wasley. Jay Wasley, ladies and gents. So when he gets back in the van, he tells the camera that as soon as he turned the painting over, the vibe in the entire house changed. No sooner does he finish his sentence, you hear loud, deliberate footsteps coming down the stairs into the hallway where the cat is known to haunt. Nothing shows up on camera, though. So there's no orbs, there's no mist, there's no apparition. You just hear this on the boom mic. He also says that he starts to feel someone watching him. So now he's in like a van. So they have like, you know, a big white van, no windows, probably says free candy on the side because, you know, fucking Zach Bacon's. Yeah, come pet the leprechaun, some stupid shit like that. And he's sitting in there with his nerve center that holds everything for Killakee Manor. Or Killakee House, whatever it's called now. And he's sitting there and he's like, you know, everything in the house changed, but. Then he hears the steps and he's like, dude, I feel like someone's in the van with me right now. Later, Zach comes back from wherever he is because I think him and Aaron were up on Montpelier Hill fucking around with the devil because, you know, that just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
He comes down. He goes into the house with his spirit box. And he stares into the eyes of the painting of the upside down Killakee cat.
Like rule number 2.
Let's just check all the what do not do. Check, check, check. I got it. No problem. As he's staring into the eyes of the painting of the upside down Killakee cat, a cat screeching comes through the spirit box. Now, normally with a spirit box, just so everybody understands, I've probably said this before, but like you have to ask a question and then the spirit box basically is flowing through radio waves that make it easier for the paranormal to communicate. So they can speak, use the energy, and it's easier for them to speak through the white noise. Usually you have to ask a question and engage before you get a response. So for Zach to be sitting there staring at this painting of the upside down Killakee cat that should not be upside down and staring it in the eyes, which he should not be doing, the cat screeches. No sooner does the cat screech and Zach has his little freak out, the word Satan comes through the box.
Oh, you fucked up.
You fucked up. And that is the end of that segment, and then they move on to Loftus Hall, but that is everything that I know about Killakee House and the Killakee cat, the black Killakee beast of Killakee Island. Thank you.
It's so incredible that like someone still lives there because I guess if you leave the painting alone, you can probably be fine.
I don't understand why we kept the painting. I'd be like, get this shit out of my house.
But maybe it would be worse if they got rid of it.
I mean, you could donate it. Donate it to Zach. He can go put it in his thing in Vegas. True. Here, take it with you. Bye, Felicia. It's not like you're the inn or a museum or something, and that's kind of your draw. Like, you know, for the
right.
I mean, back when they filmed this in 2011, 2012, whenever it was, the house is there and it's kind of open for people to come see it. Like, you know, they had like all of the newspaper articles about it. They had like a shrine to this painting. But now that it's just some human living there as their house, like, why keep it?
Right. I mean, if it were me, I'd be afraid to get rid of it because I would be afraid it would get worse. Like they'd be like, you moved the goddamn painting. It's fucking gone. And then, so if I was able to live there, nothing really bad happens, and then I just have to have that painting in that room, that's fair. Like, that's fair. Okay.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I feel like there's just too much bad juju if you get rid of it. But you're right. Give it to Zach. He likes things like that.
I mean, he has a whole fucking, like, mansion filled of shit.
That he's like, this is haunted. Don't touch it, as he freaking proceeds to touch it.
It's so hard to, like, not touch things in that museum because that's all I want to do when I go. Like, it's bad. It's not good. It's bad.
Well, I like that story. It had to do with cats. It had to do with ghosts. And we were right in Ireland.
Yeah.
And you were telling your other story. So this was a lot of fun. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of, honestly, like, hearing that story is what... Hearing that and about the Edinburgh vaults kind of led me to Loftus Hall. So for you heard Loftus Hall first. I mean, obviously it's going to be the other way around for people. But yeah, like that's like I had this one on the docket for like 3-4 weeks now. and I've just had it hidden so you
and then
couldn't
it
see
just,
it.
like-
And then I was like, oh my God, I can do Loftus Hall.
Yeah,
Because it's
that's
scurry.
Because it connects.
Yay.
I like it.
Yep.
I like it.
I do what I can. Now tell me your story because I'm making you work for
Well-
your birthday.
I'm telling you a story about some vampires.
Whoop,
And
whoop.
it's not Edward Jacob vampires. It's not Dracula vampires. They're real vampires. And they live in Murray, Kentucky.
Oh my God, I totally thought you were going to say New Orleans, Louisiana. And I was going to be like, yeah, okay, let's go.
Of course, everything.
I mean, apparently there's like some really big vampire population down there to the point where like they kill people down like alleyways during Mardi Gras for like extra blood throughout the year. Like,
Oh, man. See, that's not... I guess when I was looking these up, because one of my former students actually sent me a TikTok of someone talking about this particular case, and she was like, I thought about you guys immediately. And I was like,
Aw.
yep, we're covering this.
thank you, Jen's
So-
former student.
So I only really know about these vampires. I don't really know about the ones in New Orleans, if they are real, but these are real. So now let's talk about Murray, Kentucky, because when you think of vampires, you don't necessarily think of Kentucky.
No, I told you. I think of Louisiana.
It's the 19th largest city in Kentucky. It's a college town, and apparently it is an alcohol-free town.
Those are the worst. I went to college in a dry town. Fucking
Yeah.
annoying. Just saying. So annoying.
They're like, we have lots of dances, and we have, and I'm like, yeah, but you don't. But like, the reason why people go fucking stir crazy is because
like,
it's like Footloose.
oh my
It's-
God, if I can't have a margarita and go dancing, what's the point? What is the point? So hard.
This is also known as to some anyway, the vampire capital of the U.S.
And I've never heard of it. That's crazy.
Yeah. Vampires have many different things. There's, which one is, you can't have garlic, you can't do this. Now, in Murray, there are a group of vampires that it's not a matter of you can't go out in the sun, or it's not the old vampire rules. It's a group of vampires who don't follow that typical mold of what a vampire is supposed to look like. So, this group of vampire clan have a hangout called the Vampire Hotel, or Hotel California.
Welcome
And
to
it's
the
a-
Hotel California in Kentucky. Such
Yeah.
a lovely
It's-
place. Gonna drink your blood.
It's abandoned in the middle of the woods.
Perfect.
So it was an old home, and there's actually, if you look at the pictures I put on the blog, it's graffitied, it's all kinds of things, but like it makes sense that people would go there and be like, oh, we're starting a club, like a clubhouse type of thing. But this is vampires. This is not a club. Okay, this is a vampire family. So this is where a lot of people can come together. They can role play different vampire things. They have vampire masquerades, which sound pretty fun. They drink each other's blood and they have sex. I mean, all right.
I'd be okay with
drinking
the
of the blood
sex
is-
part. I'm in.
Yeah.
The blood part, I'm
The blood part-
out. I'm definitely out.
Yeah.
Like, how do we get the blood too? Is it like, they do a needle thing? Do they like slit their wrists? Like, I need
this
to
is
know
what-
the
Yeah.
how this is happening.
Now, this is also different than I found out, is because according to their beliefs, human life is sacred,
Perfect.
and the giving of blood is a ritual and should be considered a gift and a commitment. So blood should only be taken to survive.
But if
not
I have my
to
own
kill.
blood, why do I need your blood to survive? I have my own. I'm okay.
I know. Well, they're saying if you don't have your blood, something happened
How-
and they have to.
How would I not like?
I don't think that they thought that.
Okay, I'm
I'm gonna be
overthinking
honest.
it. Is that your nice way of saying,
I'm-
Sam, you're overthinking this?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think they thought as much as you did, because literally I'm thinking, well, the same. Why would you be giving the blood? Wouldn't you go to a hospital to do that? It's now vampires are also a separation from, in particular, the Christian religion. And this group of people said that, Christian religion is very hypocritical in the
What?
sense where
What?
in the sense where they focus so much on the evils. So immediately if you say I'm a vampire, they immediately are like, it's got to be Satan worshiping, it's got to be this. And they're like, in reality, we're not worshiping Satan. We're not killing people because life is sacred. So killing is out of the question. We just hang out together. So it's kind of like an after-school goth club, like where you could bring, like, people are all kind of like, I didn't like they're having trouble, like they came from terrible homes, they dress a certain whatever, and everyone's like island of misfit toys. Everybody comes together and it works out. Everybody's friends and it's wonderful. So that's kind of the vibe I got from them. But they're saying, well, the Christian religion immediately looks down on us because Murray is also a very religious town.
Okay. I mean,
So,
Kentucky. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So here are the players that we're going to be seeing in this particular clan. So we have Rod Justin Farrell, and he was born to young teenage parents. His father was never...
I'm so sorry. His last name is Farrell?
Or Farrell? Yeah.
No, I like Farrell better. Like he's a feral something.
I mean, he's a piece of shit, so we're going to call
Oh,
him...
yeah.
I
So
can call
he's a
him whatever
feral
he
gremlin.
wants.
I love this. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I got to make fun of this name. Like, just making sure
Yes.
he is a feral beast.
Because he's a...
Feral
So
vampire.
his father was never in the picture. His mom, Sandra, raised Rod. And she was also interested in, like, the vampire stuff. So they, watch movies about it. And then he started to get interested in fantasy and role-playing and the darker vampire lore of certain things. So he got very kind of like, I'm interested in this stuff. That's fine. You could be interested
Get
in that
it.
stuff. I mean, look at it. You and I are interested in crazy, weird stuff,
I
and it's
mean,
fine.
I collect
fine.
weird opossum bones from the cemetery, so I get it. Like, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of like, I'm not bad with, I'm not down with the vampire scene, but like, if you want to do it, go ahead. Like, just don't ask me for my
if
blood.
It makes you happy.
As long as you're not hurting anybody and you're not hurting yourself, fucking live your life. Live!
Their thing is, you need to respect life.
Yep.
And I honestly, the people who go into these vampire families, it's not you go in and you're forced in. So you want to be there. You want to be with people that are like you.
Yeah. Sounds better than Christianity in some ways, so.
Yeah, Rod was a loner. He tended to be made fun of. He was isolated. He doesn't fit in with anywhere. Until he finds Stephen Jaden Murphy. Now, we're going to call him Jaden because this is his vampire name.
Okay.
Jaden met Rod in school. He was already the sire to a vampire clan. So if you don't know what a sire is, it is the main vampire. So they are the ones that create other vampires. So there's always the one. And in some lore, if you kill the main vampire, all the other ones go away. I don't think that's what they're going for here. But obviously anyone in the family can sire other vampires, but he's like the main person who created his family. So he's the sire.
All I'm thinking about is horse reproduction right now.
What did that
Because a male horse sires babies.
Oh, for God's sake. I just thought...
That's why my face went, excuse me? Like, is he like the main, like, fuck truck of the tribe? Like, is he just fucking all the girls?
Actually, what's really interesting is it's kind of... obviously, people are going to say, oh, well, this is like a cult. Not necessarily, because he can sire people, and he can... And I'll explain what that means.
I was like, can I take it away? Can I be like, you're sired, and then a week later, dude, I don't like you, you're out. Back the fuck up.
Technically, no, because there's a ritual involved.
Okay.
But it's not like Jaden's like, all right, I'm going to sire you, and then I'm going to have sex with you, and you can't have sex with anybody else. Like, it's not about that.
I'm glad
it's
you
kind of
said
very
it's not a
loose.
cult, because honestly, up until this point, I'm like, cult.
It's a cult.
It's a cult. If it quacks like a cult and it walks like a cult, it's a fucking cult.
Right.
Like, that's all that was going through my head. That and we're siring horses. Like,
Right.
there are two types of people in this world. There's a Jen and then there's a Sam.
The process of vampires becoming vampires is the person who is the main vampire, they take the person into a cemetery. It doesn't have to be a famous cemetery, although originally when they were talking about it, I thought it was like they had to specifically go to like a Salem one or like one that's haunted or something like that.
Okay.
But I think it would be better, but like that's not the case.
I mean, in Murray,
Each
Kentucky,
person
I can't really think of any infamous cemeteries.
right.
You can tell me
Right,
I'm wrong.
So each person makes 3 tiny slits on their arm.
The 3, okay.
And they drink each other's blood. So like I will make 3 slits, you drink my blood, you make 3 slits. Well, I'm not saying do it. That would be just
I'm good, thanks.
I don't think we need to do that.
I love you, but we're not doing a blood pact just because we have a podcast. I love you so much.
Right.
I would rather hold your hair and you throw up on my shoes than everything that you're discussing right now. I love you, but no.
It's right. It's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was like, all right. I thought it was more. There was more, pomp and circumstance to it than this, but it was just kind of okay.
Jen, we're going to a cemetery so you can cut me and I can cut you and then we lick each other's arms or wherever the 3 slits are. And you want more pomp and circumstance? Do you want me to wear a robe? Do I need a crown? A scepter? Do I have to beat over like the tree?
Is it too much to ask to wear capes or like come in with like hooded? Is it too much? Is that
You have to wear the white makeup and the fake teeth. Otherwise, it doesn't work, okay? If you don't get the fake
capes and then you just
wait,
like I don't know.
we can only do these during September and October because that's when we can buy the spirit and the teeth at Spirit
Right,
Halloween, and then we can get our capes and we can go.
On the next full moon, like I don't know.
That
I
would make
guess
sense.
I just thought that there was more. Anyway, fine. Okay, I'm expecting too much out of this.
I'm so sorry to people who actually practice this. Like, I know there are people out there who this is very serious to them, and I know I'm poking fun, but I don't mean to be disrespectful. Like, I know it's coming off that way. Again, I'm all for do what you need to do to be happy and live your life.
Party. I thought it would be a party type of thing. You're getting involved in a family. You know what? That's. I don't know.
I mean, they're in a dry town. What kind of fucking party can they really have?
You know what? That's all right. I'm sorry, guys. That's right.
I mean, I think that's kind of also part of the problem here. Like,
oh yeah, no, that's majorly the problem because like, what do you?
Yeah.
Now, once you commit to it, so once the person who is the sire drinks the other blood and so on, you're now part of their family. So now you have a vampire family. You have your little location. You can hang out, and I think that's just fun and wonderful because yes, you're a vampire. No, you don't drink blood all the time, which was a misconception. Which they in the documentary they made sure to say like we don't drink blood all the time. Like we just.
I mean, I drink a Dr. Pepper. I mean,
yeah,
the blood we keep for the special
like
occasions.
Exactly. It's kind of like that. So
it's like you only get steak pizzaiola on Christmas or Easter, so we drink the blood on the good holidays.
Exactly.
I get it.
And the whole goal here is it really is about unity and being together and basically finding a place because a lot of the people who joined and who Jaden came across, one was his brother in particular, but there's a couple of other people that were just like, they just didn't come from great homes. They didn't have a good, they were just kind of struggling. So like bringing them in and finding a community, I think that's so important. So whether you're a vampire, whether you do a werewolf thing, whatever it is, it's cool that you have togetherness. Yes. And that's the goal. That was Jaden's number one thing, is that this is what it is. Okay, so now in January 1996, Jaden sires Rod and makes him part of the family. Mm-hmm. Not the way you're thinking.
I'm such a bad
But
person.
as time went on, Rod started to have some kind of dark views, and they started to come to the surface to the point where Jaden and the others were like, this isn't what we stand for. For instance, he started killing and torturing small animals.
Ooh, no. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Feral.
Yes.
Feral.
He was actually arrested, questioned the whole bit, for breaking into a shelter and killing smaller dogs. Like ripping open the fences and stuff.
I hate him. I hate him.
No, it's...
Fuck this guy.
And he kept saying, well, they're just pinning it on me because, bro, like,
No.
this is you. And, like, it's just not...
Don't
So
like him.
his beliefs didn't line up because the other group is not doing this. Because they have respect for life.
He's going rogue.
Now,
Getting feral. Feral gremlin.
Rod threatened to kill Jaden one time. And a physical fight occurred between the two of them. Jaden actually had him by the throat and was like, get the fuck out of here. And outcast him from the family. So you can be thrown out of the family.
I'm getting
And I
the
suppose
Crow
you can leave on
vibes
your
right
own.
now. I'm freaking out.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Right?
This is nice. Well, not nice, but you know what I mean. Get him, Jaden. Fuck this guy.
Like, fuck that
Yeah,
guy.
fuck
like,
this
he
guy.
Said it, and like the idea was like, he's like, I don't know. He kept saying he was joking. It like the way he was saying it, he was like, fuck it. He attacked me. So he's like, I had him. He's like, I don't think he thought I was going to get physical with him. I had him by the throat and like pushed him against the wall and was like, go.
You're
fuck
done.
yourself. You're out of here.
You're done.
Like you're
You
done.
are done.
So-
I don't like him.
Now, Rod is still a vampire, though, so he can still create a new family himself. And that's probably what he wanted to do because he wants to have people under his control.
Like an MLM. Okay.
Yeah. So Rod actually believed he was a 500-year-old vampire named Visago.
That's the name you pick?
That's... Oh, I mean, I yeah. I don't know. I just am unclear because when I was listening to Jaden and his group talk about this, they aren't like, I am a 300-year-old vampire from old blah, blah, blah. They were like, I am Jaden. I changed my name to Jaden as a vampire name. Okay.
Cool.
And this is who I am. They recognize they're not.
It's like a persona.
500.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah.
This is giving like such... What was that other... I think there was another story you did where like they thought they were vampires. Or maybe I'm just thinking of something else.
You did.
I did it?
The one
I'm so
from
glad
Canada,
you... Yes! I'm so glad you remember
yeah.
these things. I'm like, this is like ringing bells with the guy thought he was like was it 5,000 years old or something? Like a 500-year-old
like that.
vampire?
And he's dating a 13-year-old and you're like, okay, first of all, gross.
Yes.
And then, yeah, no, that
doesn't
was...
even work anymore?
Yeah,
Yes, I remember that. That was like...
a trip.
Yeah. Like, where do you get the inclination that that's, like, your legacy? Like, oh, yeah, no, I've definitely been a vampire for, like, ever, and now I just magically realized it. Like, did you, like, do a past life regression? Like, how do you find that out?
And it's, like, not for anything, but you weren't a vampire until someone brought you in. So I don't know.
He's the goat.
So he ended up recruiting 3 others and brought them into the family. So he recruited Scott, Dana, who he was dating at the time, and Charity. Okay, so these are all like wonderful. They're all around the same age, which I could say, and I'm going to tell you, is around 16, 17 years old.
This kid's only in his teens? They're only in their teens?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking
it's
they're
a
like
really
20s
young-
and 30s.
Honestly, it's a young age to make such a decision. I don't know if I would be like, I want to conform to vampirism at 17. You know,
I mean, this is just such a... And
I digress.
this is just such a different definition of vampire than what I'm used to. And I think that's the reason why I'm having such a hard time reconciling it in my brain right now. And I'm like trying to make it make sense because, you know, like you were saying before, these aren't like the vampires that we came up with, like where, you know, you get bit, you get the vampiric germ, you go through the transformation, the evolution, and then, you know, the garlic, all the antibacterial things like kind of hit you, the silver, the sun, the
you can't eat anymore. You have to just rely on blood. Like, that's
Yeah.
not what this is. So it's a little, yeah, it's kind of like, huh.
So
Well,
weird.
Rod wanted to get out of Kentucky, and he wanted to move his family, his new vampire family, to New Orleans, because probably to meet up with those crazy ass fucking vampires that you were talking about before.
Okay.
So, Heather Wendorf was a former girlfriend of Rod's. She lived in Florida, and Rod and his mother had traveled to Florida because they came in, they lived there for a short period of time, then they moved back to Murray. So that's how they met. They were just in the same school at the same time, whatever. Okay. When he moved back, he and Heather still stayed in touch. Now, this is the days, because this is 96. These are the days of the, I'm going to call my friend and spend 5 hours on the phone, and you only have one phone line type of thing. So they call each other many times and spend many hours on the phone, to the point where Heather's parents are not comfortable with it. And they're like, you know what? No, because Heather is younger than him. Not by much, but she's a little bit younger. It's a little bit like, no, like, our phone bill's kind of nuts, so no, don't talk to him anymore. Well,
Okay.
Heather had reached out to Rod during this whole time of when he's trying to transition, and she says to him, my parents are being abusive and I want to run away.
Mommy and Daddy won't let me do what I want. Wah.
That's exactly what this is. It's not actual abuse.
Yeah.
Okay. She literally was a little bratty 15-year-old, not getting her way. And she's like, I want to run away. And they're being and they're being abusive to me. So again, whenever you throw the word abusive in there to someone who is really oh no, I can't handle that, you got to be careful, because it could turn into this. And this is spoiler. It's going to get bad.
He's an alpha.
So
Yep.
he decided, you know what? Let's take Heather with us to New Orleans, because I already have my vampire family with me. I'll just bring her into the clan. I'll just bring her in and everything will be great. We'll live in New Orleans. It'll be wonderful. Okay. So November 25th, 1996, Heather was brought into the clan. So Rod did give her the blood and all that stuff, and they, fine.
Yeah, they did that part.
In a cemetery.
They never took the bloodborne pathogens course that I had to take 18 million times.
No.
Obviously.
I got 100 on that.
Good for
bloodborne
you!
pathogen quiz this year.
Congratulations!
Yeah.
I mean,
I was pretty impressed.
I'm
This year I
so
got 100
happy
on
for
it.
you. Way to be. Still getting A's.
So Rod and the other member, Scott, were planning to steal Heather's parents' car in order to get them down to New Orleans. Heather says she told Rod, leave my parents alone, just get the car, everything will be fine. Everything's fine. Okay. Well, Rod had taken LSD prior to this little trip.
I mean, that makes everything better.
So he enters Heather's house through the basement, and as he's going through, he finds a crowbar on the wall, and he just instinctually grabs it. Okay.
Okay, Marv.
Richard Wendorf, Heather's father, was asleep on the couch. So Rod comes into the room and just bludgeons him to death with the crowbar.
As you do.
Yeah.
Fucking Friday.
It fractures his skull and his ribs. That's how hard he hit him. Now, this guy was asleep. It's not like you were threatened.
Ew.
So this there it is.
I hurt.
Now, Naomi Ruth, who is Heather's mom, was in the shower as this whole thing was happening, but was like, holy fucking shit. So she quickly lunged at Rod after this whole thing happened, and she threw coffee in his face. Well,
Okay.
can't have that, can we? So
We could,
Rod
unless
hit
you're
her
Rod.
with
Going
Rod
feral.
hit her so hard with the crowbar that it hit her brainstem, and it instantly killed her. That's how hard with force he hit her.
No.
Like-
No.
And Richard also had burn marks in the shape of a V to signify his vampire name, because we know his vampire name. Let's go back. Visago.
Saga.
It's like,
I don't love
that's
that. I'd rather call him Vigo.
no, it's like Zorro.
I'm gonna call him Vigo. Ghostbusters. Let's get some Vigo. Yep, that's what I want to call him, Vigo.
The crew left Heather's house and they took off to New Orleans. Heather said she had no idea that her parents were actually dead until they were in New Orleans. So it was kind of like, even though you hit someone and bludgeon them to death, I'm pretty sure there's blood everywhere, but we're just going to go with it. Okay, we're just going to, allegedly, she says, didn't know about it.
Okay.
So her sister, her older sister Jennifer, comes home to find the parents' car missing and walks into the shit show.
Oh my god, that
So-
poor girl. That
Yeah.
oh, my heart breaks.
So police searched, but it wasn't until 4 days later that they actually recovered the car and the 5 people that were on the run.
It only took them
Because-
4 days. They went from Kentucky to Louisiana. That's it. Like, how bad are you at escaping if it only took them 4 days?
Right.
Like, they
They're
just
not-
suck at
well,
everything. I mean, well, they are teenagers.
here's-
They're not thinking. Their brain's not fully developed.
So they actually went to Baton Rouge, and that's where they were found because Charity, one of the other girls, called her mom for extra money.
fucking
And so then,
idiots.
yeah.
Sell your feet pics.
And then the cops were like, "Oh, now we know where they are." So they picked them all up and okay. Rod was extremely arrogant. He like stuck his tongue out at the cameras. He was extremely rude to officers. He was defiant in any order that they gave him. Like he was just a total dickwad.
You know what? So far for Vigo, I would not expect anything less. This seems definitely Vigo. You know, Vigo. He's in his Vigo era. He's got to do his thing.
But they were kind of surprised because despite him being like that, he did plead guilty to 2 counts of murder. Okay,
Seemed
I mean,
proud of it, probably.
and that's the thing. That's what they were like. Are you gonna? And he continued to say nothing, just be an asshole, and then he pled guilty. Now the other guys also pled guilty, so I'll get to their sentences too. So Rod was sentenced to death, which would have made him the youngest on Florida's death row to be.
How'd they end up in Florida?
She was in Florida. Heather lived in Florida, so he went to he went from Kentucky to Florida to get Heather, and then to New Orleans.
Okay, but if they got picked up in New Orleans, wouldn't they be extradited back to Kentucky, and that's where they would have been?
Because the crime happened in Florida.
I'm back. I'm back. I'm sorry. Even though you said
honestly,
it, I missed it.
No, I kind of thought the same thing because I was like, but isn't he from? But because the crime happened in Florida, Florida wants to make sure they,
You 110% probably said Florida, and I was still so caught up on all the other bullshit. I missed that. That's
there's
on
a lot
me.
of bullshit.
That's on me. The ADD.
A lot of bullshit.
Yeah, a lot of bullshit.
So
Bullshit.
he said he killed Heather's mom specifically because killing her was not part of the plan. It was he went in, he was going to steal the car, and he was still going to kill her dad. Okay, but she wasn't part of the plan. But because she fought him and threw coffee in his face, and he was on drugs, the adrenaline from that, it caused him to lose control.
I hate him. Have I mentioned that yet?
Scott
Okay.
pled guilty. Scott's his other vampire player who went into the house with him. Now, Scott didn't perform any of these murders, but he was with him.
And he didn't stop him either.
No, so he was sentenced to 2 life sentences, which was later reduced to 40 years. So he will be 51 when he's released. He's still got a life to live after that because you're a teenager.
I don't like
But
that.
I mean, again, he didn't do anything. But you're right. He didn't say anything.
He didn't say anything. He didn't
hey,
stop him. He
hey,
didn't
bro,
try
maybe.
and like call the police afterwards.
Dana received 17 years and Charity received 10 because they were given plea deals. Both have since been released from prison. So,
Okay.
Heather continued to say she had no idea that this happened because they stole the car, they walked out and everything, whatever. So she had no clue. So she was never charged with anything. So she just went home to her sister, fine, whatever. Now, there's no evidence to show that she did or didn't. It's kind of like a...
You were in the car.
He says I told...
Yeah.
Yeah. In 2000, Rod's sentence was commuted to life because, according to the Florida Supreme Court, a defendant must be 17 or older when committing a crime for execution. Rod was 16 when he murdered Heather's parents. So even though he was sentenced when he was 18, and it's still it's
it happened when he was 16.
16.
Loophole.
So, yeah. Upon reading his original sentence, so originally when the sentence was, the judge said, okay, it's going to be life. The judge says to Rod, I think you are a disturbed young man. I think your family failed you. I think society failed you.
I think you need a timeout.
Yeah, I think you need to chill. Today, Rod still sits in prison. He still believes he is that 500-year-old vampire. And he agrees his actions were wrong and that he was out of control.
And he doesn't get, like, help for the thinking he's a 500-year-old vampire. Like, I kind of feel that therapy may be in the cards for him because maybe you're not a 500-year-old vampire considering you were 16, now you're what, in your 30s? 530s are very different numbers.
I don't know. I'm assuming he got some kind of psychological shit done, but he still is fully, yep, I'm a vampire. But he also admits, I needed to be stopped because if it wasn't Heather's parents, it would have probably been somebody else because I was out of control. All right. I mean, okay.
I mean, they can't even put him behind iron bars because the iron's not going to do anything because they're not those types of vampires. I'm so sorry. I can't get past this. I'm such an asshole.
I just... Oh, my God. But it's... Now, the problem with this is not only are two people dead and, you know, there's all this other bullshit, and he took down 4 other people with him. Rod's actions also made it really difficult for Jaden and his family because they faced a lot of discrimination and a lot of people hold Jaden accountable for turning Rod into a vampire and saying, this is your fault because you did this for him. And as a result, he turned into this. And he's like, well, here's the problem.
I have to pump the brakes on this one. Hold on. Even I'm like, wait a minute. This kid thinks he's a 500-year-old vampire. So if I did the blood thing with him in the cemetery on the full moon, it would have been year 1. So obviously there was some sort of issue because he already thought he was a vampire. For some reason, he just needed me to light it. I just needed to light the match, which means... he already had it in his brain. He was just looking for validation. You're right. I probably should not have validated him. I should really make like some sort of test on Google to like make sure I don't do this again.
Right.
But if he's thinking he's 500 years old and a vampire already, I don't think whatever I did in my little is going to change that thought process. I could be wrong.
And the whole goal of Jaden's group is to be together and to respect life. And like, yeah, sure, people aren't gonna... His parents and his mom was interviewed and she's like, people aren't vampires. And she was like, so like against her son's choices. And he's like, I get that. But like, I didn't make him do that. Like he turned... like rogue, and he went feral. Not a part of our
Rod went feral. Rod Feral went feral. He is a gremlin.
He's not a part of our family anymore.
I already kicked him out.
But it just
Yeah.
So it's just it was kind of unfortunate because there is a group of vampires. There are a group of families in that Hotel California in Murray, Kentucky. And sometimes they get a little bit of side-eyed because of the bullshit. And they're like, oh, vampires are to blame for it. And it's like, all right. But it was one person who went off the rails. Okay. He thought, yeah, he was a 500-year, So...
Could you imagine, like, the conversations? Okay, guys, they're sitting around 16, 17 years old in the 90s. They got their whiteboard up, and they're like, okay, guys, we're a vampire family now. And now if each of you sponsor 3 of your own vampires, we can become a vampire army.
Oh my
Our
God.
Thanksgiving is gonna be fucking lit if we can just if everybody just brings 3 people to dinner for the next 6 weeks. Let's fucking
I
go.
love that. I love it.
I mean, what's going on? I do love the sentiment of, like, we're really just trying to create our own family and our own space and our own, like, our own safe, like I said, safe space. Like, that's with like-minded people. Like, I get it. And if the vampire fantasy is what you want to go down, it's kind of cute. It's like niche. It's all you. I especially love that we're not like killing each other for blood or killing other people for blood, because once blood gets involved, I'm like, ick, I'm good. But yeah, this feral gremlin that I don't really think it's Jaden's fault, if I'm honest. I can't blame Jaden.
No, and that's the whole thing, is that he was like,
No.
I can't even feel bad because it's not on.
The idea was already in this guy's head, and once somebody said vampire, that's kind of where the dots got connected, and it just is what it is, unfortunately.
Right, 'cause he already,
and wow.
So yeah, so that is our vampire community.
I've learned a lot today.
And
I've learned.
I learned don't touch anything.
Don't touch anything.
Don't
keep your hands in your
anything.
pockets. I've also learned that there are multiple definitions of a vampire, because I didn't realize that in Webster's there should be like an A, B, and C. I thought there was like one. And
there's like the Dracula vampires, and then there's like the Lost Boy vampires, and then there's like, the Bram Stoker there's so many different tropes of like, okay, so can they go into the sun?
Yeah.
Can they have garlic? Is the crucifix a problem? Like, some of them that doesn't happen, and I'm like, okay, so we need to get on board on what subgenre of vampire we're dealing with, because it's very confusing.
Oh my God, now all I'm picturing is like this huge like hierarchy of like, not hierarchy, that's not the right word, but like Charlie Day with the red lines of all the different types of vampires that there are in the world, with like their little descriptions underneath. Like, that's all I'm picturing.
Because it's very confusing when you're watching a vampire movie and you're like, wait, so can they? No.
Yeah, like, how come Edward
Twilight could go into the sun?
He was all sparkly. He didn't die from it. Yeah. I think I saw something the other day that Nosferatu was the first vampire that, like, on screen you saw, or like was the first depiction of like the sun killing a vampire. Like, the idea was there. So, like I was saying before, like, okay, you get bit, you get the vampiric germ, and then if you notice, like, all the things that kind of stave off vampires or stop vampires have antibacterial type things. So, garlic was used as, for medicinal purposes. Silver has medicinal purposes. The sun can bleach things. Holy water. I mean, what have you. I mean, even this, like, it kills me now when people are like, well, if you're a vampire, I can't see you in a mirror. No, that was because they were backed with silver back in the 1800s, 1700s, 1600s. Yes. That's changed. That's not a thing anymore. So if there was a vampire, they can see their own reflection. Go fuck yourself. Like, little things like that. And, like, I don't even remember where I was going with this thought, but the whole vampire, like, yeah, there's just so many different things to think about when, like, vampires pop in your head now. It's not just bloodlust and
so that's why
glory.
I was like, oh, this is not a normal vampire type of thing. So fine, do your thing.
Live.
Do your thing. Live! Anybody.
Just don't kill anybody.
Just
Don't add to the population.
anybody.
Don't subtract to the population.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend. Don't end up in jail. Don't make me bail you out because I won't. Like, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, thanks.
That was fun.
That was so fun. Happy birthday, Jen. Woo woo. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you learned more than we did, or what we learned, or can impart more wisdom on whatever we talked about today. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media. So that's Facebook, Instagram. Now we're on the YouTubes. Rate, review, subscribe, and ring the bell on all the things. I don't think the bell's on all the things, but you know what I mean. If you want to hear more fun stuff and my Jersey accent and Jen's gorgeous voice, and you're already caught up over here, jump on Patreon. It's only $4 a month, and you get like a ton of content, because like every month we do at least
for August.
Yeah, every month we do at least 2 extra episodes. Now we have graveyard chats. There's bloopers. There's other shit. Like, go over there. If you want our merch, you can always buy our stuff. Everything is accessible through our website, deathbeforebooze.com. Otherwise, I think I have everything. I love you all, and we'll see you next week. Happy birthday, Jen.
Yeah.
Love you.
And we're going on the high seas next week, so this is going to be exciting. So, love you guys.
What was
and
I doing for
stay-
that? I'll see you next week. Bye.
Stay spooky.